All right, we're back for another Friday financial wrap-up without Mr. Michael Zuber. He is traveling. Apparently, he says he does not go on vacations. He goes on trips. He is in beautiful Iceland, Greenland. You can see him on YouTube. He's been doing some Friday financial news probably about every 2 or 3 days, so watch for it. Now, this is for the Friday financial wrap-up, Friday, August the 30th, 2024. I'm going to get right into the show. Now, personal consumption expenditures, PCE, this is the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge. It rose 0.2% on a monthly basis in July and 2.5% from a year ago. Now, the result was in line with estimates of the economists polled by the Dow Jones. Now, the stock market closed higher today, Friday. The S&P posted its fourth straight winning month. Pretty wild, right? This pretty amazing in spite of the fact that we're in such a weird economy. Now, what was interesting, Michael talked about this earlier in the week, Nordstrom, the retailer, despite having strong earnings and beating the expectations, the company issued guidance. Now, what is guidance? It's like a warning. Typically when publicly held companies, they'll, when they post their earnings for that quarter, what they'll do is they'll do a conference call with all the stockholders, the hedge funds, the investment groups, institutions who invest. Well, they issued what's called guidance. And what does that mean? It's like a warning. And basically what they are saying is that retail goods, they're noticing that the market is in fact softening and that demand for luxury goods is softening or potentially could be in a decline. Now, Michael's talked about this time and time again in the daily financial news, and that what Michael talked about was what would be called a trade down cycle. Now, this would be where, as an example, somebody who maybe normally shops at Nordstrom, maybe now they trade down, maybe they're shopping at Macy's or Target. Or if somebody's a Target shopper, maybe they're trading down and shopping at Walmart. So you kind of get the idea that it's a trade down cycle potentially with the consumer. Again, a lot of talk about the consumer slowing down and then a lot of mixed signals, right? Some companies are beating earnings. Some are issuing guidance. It's a very interesting time. Definitely a weird market to say the least. Now in the mortgage market, mortgage rates for the 30-year mortgage closing out at 6.43, holding steady just under 6.5%. Now, we did see rates begin to soften up over the last couple of weeks. A lot of talk about what the Fed will do. Will they cut rates in September, again in November? Some people are calling for 50 basis points in September. Michael has been locked in saying no cut in September. It'll be very interesting to see. Again, mortgage rates basically holding just sub 6.5. It'll be interesting. A lot of people think that mortgage rates specifically, are going to really soften up as the Fed begins to ease and cut rates. We will see. Will it happen in September? What are your thoughts? Everybody thinks it's 100%. Will it be 25 basis points? Will it be 50 basis points? So what is a basis point, by the way? A lot of you probably know this, but some of you do not. A basis point is like a percentage point. So if you think about 25 basis points, that's 0.25 of 1 full percent, right? So it's a fraction of a percent, right? So 25 basis points would be, as an example, if mortgage rates were at 6.5% today, and we saw a reduction of 25 basis points, well, that would be 6.25% would be the rate, okay? So basis points, some people are calling the Fed to drop 25 basis points in September. Some are saying 50 basis points. Time will tell. Michael's calling for no cut. And honestly, I wouldn't say that I'm confused, but it definitely, I'm hoping that it is higher for longer and that they hold until November. I think that if they start to cut rates aggressively, I think we get back into this multi-offer, which could create a little bit of a bubble in the market. So time will tell. Doesn't really matter what I think anyway, right? This is Michael's show. So I'm going to stay with Michael. No cut. No cut in September. We're going to see maybe 50 basis points. And again, this was interesting. Now, referencing back to PCE, the Fed keeps a close eye on this metric. And so this is something that really influences policymakers. Now, there's a lot of talk that there's more evidence of a soft landing. What is a soft landing? Soft landing is that we're not in a recession, that in fact, that the economy is weird, right? Some news is good, some news is bad. The job market seems to be pretty steady. That basically that a soft landing would mean that we're not in a recession, that we're not going to see this big punch or knockdown or see this huge spike up in jobless claims, and that the job market is pretty stable. So if we do see a soft landing, a lot of people believe that the Fed would be less likely to be aggressive about rate cuts. Now, the stock market's strong. Is that in anticipation of a rate cut? Some would say yes. Earnings, a lot of companies are still posting really good earnings, although issuing guidance, meaning warning signs. Time will tell. But one thing about the mortgage market, the refi demand is up 85% this week. Purchase applications only up 1% week over week, and actually down 9% year over year. What does that tell us? Yes, the real estate market is still slow. We are seeing longer days on market. We are seeing properties not selling. We are seeing, in fact, something we see here toward the end of August, expired listings, withdrawn, canceled listings. We haven't seen that in a long time. Why? Because we're past the summer selling cycle. And now a lot of people are regrouping and saying, you know what, maybe we'll wait till next year. Maybe we'll wait till spring. It's a weird housing market, interest rates, etc. Also the election year. Again, something I talked about this maybe a week or two ago, a stat that during election years, on average, over the last 5 election cycles, this came from KCM, Keeping Current Matters, that during election years, during election cycles, that real estate transactions typically reduce by 15% during that election cycle. Now, on the other hand, then after the election cycle, they gain back momentum and those transactions come back. So very, very interesting time. Now, I know that Michael talked about this week, and again, I'm following Michael's daily financial news. He talked about one of the frequent guests, one of the collaborators, one of the experts, one of the millionaires for the One Rental at a Time community, a gentleman they call the uneducated economist. The guy's actually very amazingly brilliant, talks a lot, deep knowledge about what's going on in the economy. Now, he actually, I believe, has a strength and a background in lumber. And one of the things he talked about is that potentially there could be a shortage or a supply issue with lumber, and especially if we see construction, new home sales, we start to see new home starts begin to climb or begin to boom, there could be a spike in lumber costs. So very, very interesting times. Again, a weird economic cycle. To finish the show off, I want to say what Michael is doing with the school community, absolutely amazing. Last Sunday, I did a 90-minute session with the school community. Lots of really good questions. And then not only that, but I'm noticing a lot of people in the One Rental at a Time community are getting traction. They're finding deals. They're finding opportunities based on a couple of things. One is longer days on market, okay? Also properties that are maybe mediocre, properties that are not turnkey, also maybe not properties that are falling down, but that properties that may be just slightly overpriced. And what a lot of smart investors and or home buyers are doing is taking advantage by writing the offers that work for them financially, making good offers, making aggressive offers based on numbers that will work. So with that said, a lot of opportunity out there. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Please, if you like, please follow, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.